Hi guys, welcome back to Rydeus-The channel. Welcome to episode number 28 in the Freedom series. So we're going to 31 and today we are on 28. And in today's video we want to talk about sources of income. In particular, we would focus on an employee, self-employed individual, a small business owner, and we talk about an entrepreneur versus an intrapreneur. We try to touch on these areas in today's video. Now, a means by which you could earn income is to be an employee, to get a job working for someone else, working for an organization. And what is required? You're required to have what we call the KSAOs that the organization would benefit from. KSAOs being the knowledge, skills, abilities, and other attributes. So you qualify yourself, you acquire the knowledge, the skills, the abilities that are required, you apply for a job and you get that job, you secure the job. Now, the thing about that is, the good part about that is you would all your salary at the end of the month or the period to which you agree is almost guaranteed. So you'd always have an income once you're employed. Once you have a job, your employer would be required to find the means of paying you your salary. But one of the downsides of having a job or being an employee is that there's a cap on how much you would earn. You cannot necessarily become rich or wealthy or progress all the way along the financial well-being continuum if you are an employee. Your employer's job, he or she doesn't necessarily want to pay you what you're worth, or they don't necessarily want to pay you such that you become wealthy. They want to pay you what they can afford, the least they can afford to pay you and keep you motivated and within their employ. So being an employee may not necessarily be your best means if you want to pursue financial abundance, but it's a means of earning an income, and their employees who do well depending on the organizations that you work for and the positions that you're able to attain. A second means of earning an income is being self-employed. Now, being self-employed is just that, working for yourself. And of course, you would still require the KSAOs that we just talked about, knowledge, skills, abilities, and other attributes to make your self-employment enterprise successful. What knowledge do you need to have? What are the skills? What are the abilities? What are the kinds of attributes you need to have to be self-employed? Now, one of the benefits of being self-employed is that there's not really a cap per se on the amount of money you could earn. If you get extremely good at what you do, you get extremely efficient at what you do, persons in the market for your services will come to you first. You are one of the preeminent providers of your good or service, then of course you could earn significantly. One of the downsides is, unlike an employee, if you do not go to work, you do not get paid. If you happen to get ill, if you're sick, you take sick days, you take any kind of leave from the activity that you're doing, you would not be paid for that period. But of course, being self-employed has its benefits. You have autonomy, freedom, you're in charge of your time in some measure. So there is some benefit to being self-employed over being an employee. A third means of earning an income is starting a small business. And of course, there would be the requirement of the KSAOs, but not just KSAOs for you as the person who owns the business. You would be required to identify the KSAOs that the persons you would be employing or recruiting to be a part of your team or your staff. You would be required to identify the KSAOs that they must possess and ensure that they possess them in a measure that would work for your business. So there may be a requirement for attracting the right kinds of persons, providing training for those kinds of persons, motivating those individuals, compensating those individuals. And in terms of compensating those individuals, you're not just required to ensure that you make enough money to keep yourself going, you now have to make enough money to pay your staff and to keep your business going and to try to get your business to improve. You must have some money that you could save and continually strive to improve your business. So owning a small business is a good idea, but of course there are challenges, just like with an employee and being self-employed. There are pros and there are cons. Fourth means we'll talk about real quickly is being an entrepreneur. And the term entrepreneur, it's derived from moving from a low yield to a high yield, from a lower yield to a higher yield. So you derive a certain amount of value from an item and you raise the value that could be derived from that item. That's considered entrepreneurship. So we generally use it in the context of starting your own business, growing your own business, trying to get more and more persons to subscribe to your business or to be involved in your business as customers, clients, etc. But not just that, as investors, as advisors, as perhaps persons interested in purchasing your enterprise, purchasing your business, such that you can make some money and either relax, like some persons, for example, persons who invented certain aspects of technology and they were able to sell their technology for millions, in some cases billions, and move on to something else, or just in some cases just relax the entire life. So that's an entrepreneur, and there are challenges in that regard as well. One of the things you must do as an entrepreneur is become the kind of individual that persons are willing to take a chance on. That's one of the big things about becoming an entrepreneur. And finally, in this video, we will talk about being an intrapreneur, which is a term that we hardly hear, but it refers to you're working for an employer or within a company, but you're attempting to, remember we say, is to move from low value to high value. You're attempting to create significantly larger value for your employer, even within that company. So you either innovate and create better products or better services, or you attempt to get larger amounts of your employer's business out to others. And of course, you may have a variable pay rather than a fixed pay if you decide to take that route. What do I mean by a variable pay rather than a fixed pay? So as an employee, you may get, let's just say you're getting $100 a month. As an entrepreneur, you may get that $100 a month as well as bonuses or for volumes of sales or different things you may be able to do for your employer. You may be incentivized. So real quickly in today's video, we just wanted to touch on some of the means by which you could derive your source of income. We talk about the employee, we talk about being self-employed, we talk about having a small business, being an entrepreneur, being an intrapreneur, and we talk about the pros and cons of which you could make a decision. In the next video, we're going to talk about it need not necessarily be one versus the other, and we talk about that in the next video. See you in the next video.